Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to Simsport Racing, the place to race. We're here 40 kilometers east of Bologna at the fantastic Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, simply known as Imola. Welcome to GT3 Season 5, Round 3. It's the halfway point of the season. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, the voice of Simsport Racing, and I'm pleased to have alongside me David Wrestle. David, welcome back after what was a very, very frantic night race at Kyalami 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Thank you very much, Alex. Hope you well this evening, buddy. Yeah, if we get anything like we did a couple of weeks ago, we're certainly going to be for a cracker this evening. I must say, sharpest of the commentators on the little icons over there. Nice to see, just for the interview, of course. But yeah, looking forward to a good one this evening. Should be good fun.
Well, we did say that when you got the interview with Simsport Racing, you didn't need to be so formal, but never mind, eh? Good evening to everyone watching on the respective streams. Obviously, the Simsport Racing YouTube channel, VRRC, Simsport Solutions as well, Facebook, Twitch. Good evening to everyone on the chat. Good evening to one of our regulars on GT4, Cameron Fife. Good evening, and hope you're all keeping well. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're watching on the YouTube channel. And whilst you're at it, hit the notification bell. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. You'll see on the bottom right hand corners of your screen the relevant information. Twitter, it's at Simsport_Racing. You can also see the code for our Discord server. We have well over 680 people within the community, and it is climbing all the while. 685 to be more precise. David, let's have a look, if we can, now at what the standings are like coming into round 3 after what was a dynamite race. Simon Crane, 2 for 2 so far for Pulse Simsport, and Aivaras Mikus currently rounds out the top 2, just 3 points ahead of Dave Hedges. Drifter Dave, as he's more commonly known. Miles Dixon makes it 2 of the Pulse Simsport cars in 4th place in the top 4, a point behind Dave Hedges, and then it's Regan Mitchell from Team Wildforce in the 69 McLaren 720S. He rounds out the top 5. Then it's Lucas Sentalis, Charlie Crossland, Roberto Santoro, Rich Smith, Stain Paspon, Martin Dogala, Dean Riley, Adam Isolovic, Luke Hanlon Fitzgerald, Gernot Brandl, Karolis Sipavicius, Callum Cook, as well, and you've got Mantas Povilaitis, Jeffrey Wolf, and Kieran Vidago in the top 20. And there is the results from the previous round. It was Simon Crane that took the victory ahead of Rich Smith and Dean Riley, who are now part of the Simsport team as well. They're running their own team. They're going to be racing in other communities as well. They finished 2nd and 3rd respectively. Aivaras Mikus, Miles Dixon rounded out the top 5. Mikus got the fastest lap of the race, and Povilaitis in the Porsche got pole position ahead and finished in 6th ahead of Dave Hedges. Lucas Sentalis, Luke Hanlon Fitzgerald being the top AM driver in 9th place ahead of Kieran Vidago, with Martin Dogala, Stain Paspon, Roberto Santoro, Adam Isolovic, Regan Mitchell, Callum Cook, Jeffrey Wolf, Tom Smith, Mark Neutelings, and Niall Schlitter rounding out the top 20 places in there as well. And let's have a look at the teams. Pole Simsport having an absolute free-for-all at the moment at the top of the team standings on 447 points. Falcon Esports in second position, just 10 points ahead of the 1001 Racing by SimCoach 101 duo of Zentalis and Supervicious. Simsport Racing in fourth, Give It Gas Racing in fifth, ahead of Brandel Racing, Team Cube, Sim Racing, Shumi Get Well Soon, Apex Predator Racing, Huts Motorsport, Lost Jaguar Racing, Wild Things Racing, and Scuba Racing Team. Before we really get on to getting on to qualifying, there are a couple of shout outs I need to make this evening. Firstly, get well soon to Reese Wiggin. He's going to be out of action for a bit of time, unfortunately. I've been informed by his good friend Mark Neutelings that Reese has unfortunately broken his shoulder after a fall. So Reese, hope you enjoy the show tonight, mate, and get well soon. We can't wait to see you back on track. And obviously, the whole of the Simsport Racing community would like to send its sincerest condolences to Michaelis Georgaitis, as there has been a sudden and tragic loss in the family. Michaelis, from all of us here at Simsport Racing, the best of regards, and our prayers and thoughts are with you and your family at this difficult time. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the hot lap here at Imola, just over 3 miles in duration.
Welcome on board the Bentley Continental GT3 here at Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, Imola. As we've gone across the start-finish line, now making our way down towards Tamburello, braking from just under 265 kilometers an hour in sixth down to 125 in second. Now trying to negotiate the triple apex here through Tamburello before putting on the power, coming out of the corner at around about 175 kilometers an hour in third gear. Down to Villeneuve as the car starts to break traction going through into the first part, but a nice control there by the driver, exiting out of it before putting down the power again. Down to Doza, braking to first gear at around 80 kilometers an hour as we go up the climb here through towards the left-hand sweeper that has a downward dip at Bilotella. So onto the brakes from around about fifth gear, 220 kph, down to third gear. Let the car run to the right-hand side as wide as possible for the double right at Acqua Minerale. The first part of it taken at third gear at 175 kilometers an hour before you struggle to put on the brakes. Second gear through the next part of it at about 105 before climbing up the ascent towards Variante Alta. Now you're going to brake from around about the 50 or so meter mark down to second from fourth, taking it at around about 90 kilometers an hour before putting down the power once again. Accelerating to fourth. Now up to fifth gear, pushing over 240 kilometers an hour into the braking zone here for Rivazza. A second gear double left, and looking to try and just control it between the corners as the Bentley struggles for traction whilst you put down the power. Now it is the run to the line here at Imola, and the car will exceed 230 kilometers an hour whilst going across the line in fifth.
Well, there we go. A hot lap here at Imola, just 3.050 miles, 4.909 kilometres. David, there's a couple of points we need to talk about here. Quite a few pertinent ones. Obviously, we're on Italian soil, so naturally the cars that we would expect to probably be at the sharp end of the grid would be the likes of the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris, and there are quite a few Ferraris in this grid. We're about 2 3/4 minutes away from qualifying. I mean, that's going to be a real telling point, because the prancing horse always seems to perform well on home soil.
Yeah, I wonder why that might be. Yeah, quite a few testing venues they've got over in Italy, isn't there? Yeah, I think you're probably right. The Ferrari, especially the 2020 Evo, is going to be extremely strong around this track. I've just been keeping an eye on the pit wall times from practice, and there was at least half of the top 10 were Ferrari-based drivers, so it's not a coincidence, I don't think. But yeah, like I say, I think they make the most of all of their testing. I'm sure that every time any form of, whether it's road or production car or racing car from Ferrari comes out of the garage, I'm pretty sure it gets shoved onto one of the many tracks at their disposal to give them chance to put it through its paces. And what a track it is to do it at, as well as in the form of Imola. Fantastic place to put the pedal to the metal.
Definitely. Of course, if you want to catch up and cheer on your favourite driver, find out how they're getting on in the sector times. If they're putting in a fast lap, head to pitwall.live, and you can find the Simsport Racing channel there on the live timing application. itself. Of course, Imola, the venue for what was originally called the San Marino Grand Prix, and in 1980 it actually hosted the Italian Grand Prix. Last year, obviously due to the restrictions that are still very much prevalent these days, was the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. So as you can see, the remainder of our calendar, in 2 weeks' time we head to Circuit Zandvoort, and then with the way things are going, obviously there's been a big announcement made by Assetto Corsa Competizione that another 3 tracks have come out, but it's looking like that we're going to have Laguna, Seca and Mount Panorama as the last 2 rounds of our season on the 7th of March and the 21st of March respectively. It's a 90-minute encounter at Zandvoort, so that will be some mandatory pit stops involved. Laguna Seca will be a flat-out sprint. Mount Panorama will be just like Paul Ricard back on Season 3, a 2-hour finale. And those tracks there for the rest of the season, David, are really going to test the drivers, aren't they?
Absolutely. Whatever combination it's going to be. Obviously, Zandvoort, we know from the GT4 race a couple of weeks ago, not the easiest place to overtake. And obviously, the GT3 cars are even bigger and burlier than their little sisters, as you call them. And then, yeah, regardless of whether we get a combination of Laguna and Bathurst or Alton Park and Donington Park, it's going to be fantastic racing. I mean, seeing 2 hours at either Donington or Bathurst is going to be quite a feat. And certainly something I'd quite like to be getting into, but I will certainly enjoy calling those couple as well. It'll be great fun.
Indeed. So now it is time to get qualifying underway at the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari. 20 minutes to decide the grid here this evening, as someone's already taken out one of the pit lane speed limit boards going out. There's Dean Riley in the Simsport Solutions Mercedes. There's some new liveries on show, and well, who would have thought it? Re-signed to WSR, Colin Turkington returns to the virtual racing world, and he's going to be running in the Mercedes, the number 3 Mercedes here. And we're going to have around about nearly 40 cars going into Tamburello. And one of the key points here, David, is always track limits, as we welcome back after a little bit of a hiatus, Ross McGregor, who had that moment at Brands Hatch for the season opener. But to see him now back, I know he hasn't been 100% fit and ready to race, but to see him come back, it's good to have him back with us here at Simsport Racing, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yeah. Like you say, and from what I understand, he's managed to loop Colin in for the ride as well, and certainly a person who's going to know a fair bit about rubbing door panels for his time in touring cars. Fortunately, there's not necessarily as much damage in these sorts of conditions when you get stuck into it. But yeah, brilliant to have Ross back on the grid, and he's brought some pretty esteemed company with him as well.
Indeed, and we've also got Michael O'Brien, who's been racing in British GT with McLaren, and he's running in the Jensen Team Rocket RJN colours, and obviously that livery was used by world's fastest gamer James Baldwin last season, and they're getting up to speed here. And one of the other things is that track limits here at Imola, literally, you take 1 inch on those track limits, you can get pinged rather easily, can't you?
Absolutely, and it's one of those tracks as well. It's a proper old school track. I tend to think is you've got to commit to a lot of these corners. When you're looking at the likes of Piratella up at the top of the hill, you're looking at Tamburello, the Villeneuve chicane, those sorts of corners. You're going in at such high speeds, and you don't want to lose any form of time, 1/10 of a second minimum. So you're going to be on the limit for this entire lap, pretty much. And like you say, you dip a wheel or two onto those little Italian flag striped curbs on the outside, and chances are you're going to either lose your lap of qualifying, or you're going to start building up those track limits in the race as well. And obviously, as we know in Assetto Corsa Competizione, 3 track limits, 3 strikes, and then you get that lovely drive-through penalty, which no one's going to want to have tarnished against their name this evening, I don't think.
Now, there's one of the Apex Predator Racing Ferrari 488 GT3 Evos, piloted by our very own Kieran Vidago. His teammate is the 143 of Yannick Muller. We've also got the returning Denise Pope back in. She's running in the number 79 Wild Things McLaren 720S GT3. And with 39 cars on the grid, it is going to be a rather tricky affair to get a hot lap, and you've got to have enough space around you, particularly in front if you're really winding that car up to volume number 11, in the words of Spinal Tap. As now Kieran Vidago looks to have punched the hammer down to the floor, coming out of Rivazza, as he will come across the line to start a hot lap.
Yeah, it's one of the Pulse Simsport guys behind him as well, and he's probably a little bit too close, I would think. If Kieran has any form of issue around here, it's going to slow him down as he comes through what is about a second and a half off the pace at the moment. However, I'm sure we'll start to see those times tumble. But as it was in practice, Charlie Crossland setting the benchmark of a 140.3 early doors, which is quite the statement, you've got to say, especially from that Mercedes.
Well, we know how quick... one of the Lost Jaguar Racing... XKRs goes into the wall, and there's an off-track excursion. I think that might have been Denise Pope coming out of probably Doza, as Charlie Crossland in the 66 now goes into the left-hander that sweeps down the dip through Piratella, and I think he, in his first sector he did a 21.6 flat. He now goes into Acqua Minerale, and you've got to really wrestle with that car whilst trying to put the brakes on. But that was neatly done by Charlie Crossland. He's now going to go up the hill, as there is Tadas Dovidaitis in the number 32 Aston Martin, 4.9 seconds off the pace. Yannick Muller in the pits already. Turkington up into P10 ahead of Zentalis. Regan Mitchell rounds out the top 12. Dean Riley in the number 22 rounds out the top 13. Mark Markstein in the number 17. Now, he was in the trenches last time out at Kyalami, despite getting his way up the order, and the times are very much changing. I've just noticed that the number 77, that's Michael O'Brien, goes in with a 1 minute 41.235, so the 77 McLaren up into second position, and he's 7 tenths up on this lap. This could put him within striking distance of Charlie Crossland. He now comes across the line. Does Michael O'Brien? What's the time going to be? Oh, that's a brilliant lap time there, a 1 minute 40.509. That puts him 0.135 seconds off of Charlie Crossland. There's Chris Pinchback, and he's running in 5th place in the number 43 Apex Racing Mercedes. He's coming up, I think that is towards Piratella. No, that's not Piratella. That's going to be down to the Variante Alta, a second gear chicane, taking it around about 90 to 95 kilometres an hour. And then there is the number 7 Jaguar just behind, and that is Richard Pixley. Good evening to Steve Hinden from Esports Design. He said, come on, Mr. Haley, let's have it for esports. Well, we'll have to wait and see, because Stephen Haley has actually admitted in the GT3 chatter thread in Discord, he said, I expect to start from the back. That's quite a serious statement to make, David, but we know that Steve Haley, when he's on his A game, there's no stopping that man.
Well, absolutely. I would hazard a guess that he's probably sandbagging a little bit, knowing our Steve. Like you say, I think what he's probably suggesting is anything he does then is an improvement, and he'll probably be quite happy with that, as conveniently enough parks it just as he comes back up the hill towards Variante Alta. Clearly knows we're watching him, and probably doesn't want to show too much of the pace he does have, and he's certainly not sitting at the back of the grid at the moment, being 1.6 seconds off the current pace setter Charlie Crossland. So yeah, can't see him sitting too far back down that grid, I don't think.
No, Charlie Crossland. Oh, he's just put in Charlie Crossland has absolutely thrown that warning shot across the bow. He's put in a 140.038. That now puts the gap between him and Michael O'Brien to just under half a second. Here's Rich Smith in the Simsport Solutions Rouge, so they'll probably have Noir for the other one for Dean Riley. Rich, second last time out. Lovely looking livery there on that Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. He now comes out of the second left-hander at Rivazza. Nearly goes sideways into the gravel on the exit whilst putting down the power. But can Rich Smith improve from 7th position? He might have lost a little bit of time there, and he stays P7. And that was literally less than a tenth off of his best time. Adam Isalovic in the Racing Cube 111, teammates to Aaron Martin Pilkington, who's up into the top 6 positions already. And at the moment, the top... I'm looking at this David, that the top 35 covered by 4.77 seconds, and then from 1st to 15th, it's just under 2.1 with 11 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock remaining in qualification.
Yeah, I'd expect that to close in quite a bit, Alex. I don't know if you think the same, but we are, I mean, well, the track conditions couldn't be any better, could they? Optimum track condition, nice and warm outside, tiny little bit of a cross breeze going through there, but barely anything that's going to register anything when the guys go around this lovely circuit. But yeah, I think, I mean, that lap from Charlie Croston was mind-blowing. The fact that he's managed to just about miss out on a 1:39, that is a massive statement of a lap. But yeah, like you say, these gaps, they're going to close down over the next 11 minutes or so. I have no doubt about that.
Well, Regan Mitchell has just put himself on the inside of row number 2 at the moment, provisionally. About 40 seconds ago, the number 69 McLaren put in a 1 minute 40.659, and that also put, along with him, Charlie Croston, Michael O'Brien, Dean Riley, and Chris Pinchback. That now puts the top 5 drivers, as there's Carolus Supervicious, who's 6th at the moment. He has a bit of an off-track excursion. There's Dave Hedges in the number 88, teammate to Steve Haley. They're literally running concurrently what is now 14th and 15th, as there's, I think, a few other drivers are trying to put their muscle in. There's Stein Pasmont, I think the only sole Lamborghini Huracan driver in this field, and Stein's been a part of us since his initial exploits in GT4, but switched to the Raging Bull as opposed to the Prancing Horse that we've got, at least I count 10 plus cars in this category, as we now hit the halfway point in qualification. Stein Passpont looking to move up into the top 20 as he now makes his way down towards the double left at Rivazza. Hard on the brakes in the Huracan, and just nice and clean through the first part. Allows the car to drift out to the right hand side. Nice apex through the second part of it. Doesn't use much runoff on the right hand side, and now he's accelerating towards the start finish line, and he'll cross the timer with just over 9. He's 4 tenths up at the moment. That puts him P20 behind the number 3 of Mercedes of Colin Turkington.
Yeah, you called it there, Alex, and you said he'd get into the top 20, and as if by magic, that's exactly what he does. Tom Swift coming over the line now as well. See how he's sitting. He hasn't put a time on the board yet in the 777 Exile Ferrari at the moment. What's it going to be, unless this is his outlap? It's not. Puts himself 25th on the grid with a 2.6 seconds off the pole sitter at the moment. So yeah, like I say, time starting to come down. Within a second, all of the top 6. Kieran Vidago just outside that second mark, but as you expect, they're starting to exploit the limits of the track a little bit more as time goes on. You can see them always taking that line as straight as possible up towards the start-finish line. They're always cutting across that apron on the inside, called by the wall, just to give them the shortest possible run to the line, which is a classic racing driver move. You make as many cuts as you can without actually impacting your race too much. Although
that was sorry to cut across you there, but Rich Smith has just put in a 1 minute 41.160. That puts him up 4 places from P12 to P8. There's Mantas Povilaitis that took pole position at Kyalami last time out in the 738 Porsche. Now going through into the double left, as you've got one of the Alitalia Ferraris just up ahead. I'm not too sure if that's Ranjiv Kalsi or maybe Roberto Santoro, but it looks like that Michael O'Brien is actually just ahead of them at the moment. Povilaitis now will cross the line. This time it was a best effort, no improvement on time, but no improvement on position, as the 458 Ferrari, that is Martin Dergala, is just behind him at the moment, but with 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Well, I must be completely honest here, David. Michael O'Brien fancies a sniff at pole position because he's only just over 1/10 of a second, 3/10 of a second off of Charlie Croston. O'Brien just put in a 1 minute 40.350 as Colin Turkington looking to gain some momentum and possibly get himself back into the top 20. Whereas Stein Passpont and Sebastian Totolonera in the 444 Lamborghini and the 330 Ferrari round out the top 23 places, covered by just under 2.3 seconds as we head into the last 7 minutes of the session.
Certainly, like I say, it's definitely starting to close up a little bit. I think going back to Povolitis' lap there, I did notice that he was actually held up going into Variante Alta by, I think it was Dogali you mentioned who was behind him. Did see a little flash of the light, so it'd be interesting to see. I imagine, based on that, he's probably got a little bit of time left in the tank, seeing as he did manage to improve regardless. But yeah, that lap from O'Brien, he's really hauling that McLaren around, and interestingly, if he can just improve on that final sector a little bit, he'll be well in with a shout of getting that pole position run and getting the prime position down into Tamburello for the first time in about 10 minutes time, I'd imagine.
Yeah, just seen Miles Dixon from Pulse Simsport. He's just exited the pits. He's currently in P17 at the moment. And Simon Crane, has been up at the sharp end in the Bentley. The number 53 is nearly 1.9 seconds off of Charlie Crossland. But as we both know here, David, that it's not about where you start; it's about where you finish. And we've seen it before. I think the first week when Imola came out on track, we at Simsport Racing decided, well, we're going to give it a go. And it's proved to be a wonderful addition to whatever calendar we throw at the drivers from the community.
Certainly never short of action, is it? Like I said before, proper old school track, decent amount of overtaking opportunities. If you can get close enough, you've got a perfect chance to get the run on into Tamburello. It's one of those where you've got to set yourself up for the move into there, because obviously you've got the left, right, left kink. So if you can get a good run into there, you've got a chance. You can, if you're really, really brave, you can get a chance into Villeneuve, and then Tozer obviously with the chicane again. If you can get a nice little run at the end of Villeneuve, you've always got a chance going into there as well. So yeah, plenty of chances to overtake. So we'll definitely see a lot of position changes, and with it not being the slowest of corners going into that into the first lap, it does mean probably going to be a little bit closer. Nice long run into the first corner, which means it's going to be plenty of action going into that first lap. And I would hazard a guess that they probably won't be finishing the first lap with the same person who starts on pole. That's my assumption for this evening.
Well, as they say, assumptions is one thing. There is always that little bit of mitigating circumstances where I don't think it's going to be at the front. It's normally, if you're in the middle of the pack, that's where everything tends to sort of concertina. And if you're going three abreast into the first part of Tamburello, remember it's a 3 apex type turn. So you've got a left, a right, and then a left. And then before you power out of the corner and head towards the left-right chicane at Villeneuve before the tight left-hander at Torza. Gerard de Bar in the number 20 Simbro Sport car now jumps up into 25th position on a 1:42.324. Yellow flags out again on the circuit. Air temperature 18 degrees. There's some sunshine up above with some clouds in the sky, and the track temperature 24 degrees Celsius. Here's Simon Crane, our current points leader here in Season 3, currently in P20, jumps up to P16 on a 1:41.778. There's Roberto Santoro in the number 78 Ferrari, and he's currently P17, two positions behind his teammate, who calls himself the official Simsport Racing Works Ferrari driver, Ranjiv Kalsi, in the number 47, and they're split by about just over I think close to 0.2 of a second between the pair, as Santoro now goes down the dip out into what is Rivazza, and he's got one more corner to go before he completes another just over 3 miles. The lap record currently held by Lewis Hamilton in this revised format, which has been used since 2008. And also the track itself has been named after the late founder of Ferrari, who passed away in the late 1980s, Enzo Ferrari, and also his son Alfredo, who was actually nicknamed Dino Ferrari, who passed away unfortunately at the sudden age of 24 in 1956. And also, it is one of the few major international circuits to run in an anti-clockwise direction, and the reason why Formula 1 is able to compete there is because the circuit has an FIA Grade 1 licence. A little bit of a few tidbits for you people watching at home, and Cameron Fife is already signalling via the chat, can we get a shot of Colin Turkington? You might want to have the rewind button there, Cameron, or just keep your eyes peeled. Just under 2.5 minutes in the session to go. Charlie Crossland still leading qualification by just over 0.3 of a second ahead of Michael O'Brien. Then the rest of the top 4 is a lockout for McLaren, Woking's finest, courtesy of Regan Mitchell and Aaron Martin Pilkington. Dean Riley in the number 22 Simsport Solutions Mercedes is currently on the inside of row number 3 with Yannick Miller in the 143 Apex Predator racing car. And Cameron's excuse was said on the chat, I was just making tea. How long until the race starts? Well, we're going to probably be in the next 5 or so minutes, 6.5 minutes or so, because we're into the last 1 minute and 45 seconds as we are on board now with Colin Turkington in number 3. He's just exited Piratella, going down towards the right-hand side. Now into the left, full commitment through the first part of Acqua Minerale. Now into the left-hander, taking it second gear at around 120 kilometres now. He bumps over the sausage curbs on the left-hand side on the run down to Variante Alta. You get a break from just before the 50-metre board as Michael O'Brien comes across the line. And I think he's just took a 10th out of Charlie Crossland on that particular lap. So Michael O'Brien really is tending to be the danger man. Charlie Crossland about to cross the line now. He's done a 1:39. I cannot believe that. Charlie Crossland, the only driver so far to get into the 1:39s with less than 60 seconds on the clock. Michael O'Brien has got a fight on his hands.
That is a hold my beer moment, if ever you've seen one, isn't it, really? O'Brien comes in and goes, I'll gain a 10th. Yeah, Charlie's probably not even old enough to have a beer himself, but he's definitely raised a glass to that one, hasn't he? 1:39.918. That is an incredible lap time. And puts himself, he lost a 10th, but he goes, do you know what? That's fine. I've got a 10th in the locker. I'll just get it there. And I mean, what a lap that was to finish off his qualifying session.
Well, instead of hold my beer, hold my energy drink is probably a bit more appropriate at this particular moment in time. But looks like Crossland and O'Brien have called it quits. Ivaris Mikas in the number 36 Aston Martin just literally outside of the top 10 by 36 thousandths of a second. As that is it. Time is up on qualification. The checkered flag is out. Ivaris Mikas. Will the number 36 Aston Martin improve as he hurtles his way in the V8 powered of Gaydon's finest? He goes P10 at the flag. Povilaitis, pole position setter at Kyalami, has just come through Tosa up towards the climb towards Piratella. Down into the left-hander he goes, the sweeper that takes them down the dip, heading towards Acqua Minerale.
Gotta say, he's taken that perfectly, isn't he? Perfect amount of curb on the outside. One of those ones where, if you take it too wide, you've lost that entirely. But he's managed to keep himself well within track limits here. It'll be interesting to see if he does manage to improve, because he's a little bit further down than I think he'd want to be at the moment in that Porsche.
Yeah, well, he's still got the Variante Alta chicane, and he's 2 tenths up at the moment. This could possibly put him up a couple of positions, maybe ahead of Ross McGregor, and behind Carolis Sipavicius, as now he makes his way down to Rivazza for the final time. Povilaitis hard on the brakes, turns it in, second gear at 105 kilometres an hour. Now runs the car wide to the right-hand side, gets the apex nice and neatly, comes out. That was absolute textbook from Mantas Povilaitis. And now he heads towards the line. Will the 738 Porsche improve? No, he does not. Stays 14th. Miles Dixon heading towards the line himself. And he's half a second up. This is going to put him a little bit further up. It puts him P15 as the session now ends. Well, what a lap from Charlie Crossland. An absolutely mega lap from the number 66 Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3. Michael O'Brien, I think he's going to be pretty happy with that result. He knew that Crossland was firing on all 6.3 litres of that naturally V8 engine from a Falterbar. He knows that he's got to fight, but it's all about the important run down to Tamburello. This now with 39 cars. And when you take a cumulative average here, David, say 550 horsepower per car, we've got nearly 21,500 horsepower that's going to be heading to Tamburello. That is crazy.
Going to be quite the sound, isn't it? Yeah, like you say, massive run into turn 1 as well. Turn 2 is Tamburello, I believe, because you've got the slight kink, and obviously with it being the rolling start, it does mean that O'Brien's not necessarily completely out of the chance of being in first place coming out of that first little section of corners. So it's all going to be about the run. Enough probably, you would say, to get a little bit of drag. And with just a couple of minutes until the session starts, obviously 1 hour race, sprint from flag to flag, no pit stop required this evening. It's going to be very interesting to see how any of those 3 McLarens get on to try and get past that Merc on pole position. And very interestingly, 2 Ferraris rather, in the top 10, not the stranglehold I was expecting personally anyway.
Well, we've got just over 3.5 minutes before the full rolling start formation lap here for round 3, season 5, GT3 at Simsport Racing. This stream is brought to you courtesy of Simsport Solutions. If you want to find out more about Simsport Racing as a community, head to simsport-racing.com. Your starting order for round 3 here at Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari here in Imola. Charlie Crossland in the 66 starts from pole position. Michael O'Brien in the 77 McLaren alongside. Regan Mitchell in the 69 McLaren will have Aaron Martin Pilkington in the 626 McLaren 720S alongside on row 2. Keep your eyes on Yannick Müller in the 143 Apex Predator Racing Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. He will have Dean Riley in the 22 Simsport Solutions Mercedes alongside. Then it is I have to say, a really good job by Adam Misalovic. He's got himself onto the inside of row number 4 in P7 in the 111 McLaren. Chris Pinchbeck will be alongside on row 4 on 8th position in the number 43 Mercedes. Kieran Vidago in the number 4 Apex Predator Ferrari starts P9, and alongside him will be the number 36 Aston Martin, the highest placed Aston Martin thereof of Aivaras Mikus. Rich Smith in the 223 Simsport Solutions Mercedes starts P11 and will have season 3 GT4 champion of Karoli Sipovicius alongside. Ross McGregor makes his return and sticks it on the inside of row number 7 on P13. Alongside him will be Mantas Povilaitis, the last person to cross the line in qualifying. Miles Dixon rounds out the top 15, which is the halfway point of row number 8, and alongside we'll have Ranjiv Kalsi in the number 47 Alitalia liveried Ferrari. Simon Crane, the points leader, starts all the way down on row 9 in 17th position, and will have Sebastian de Tolanera alongside, and they complete row 9, completing the top 10 rows and thereby completing the top 20. It is the 78 Ferrari of Roberto Santoro with the 24 Ferrari of Simsport Racing, Stephen Haley, alongside. His teammate Dave Hedges will be behind him on the in the 11th row, in 21st position ahead of Lucas Sentalis in the 102 Nissan. Tom Smith in the XL 777 Ferrari starts on 23rd. We'll have Colin Turkington in the number 3 Mercedes alongside. Stijn Pasbok rounds out the top 25 positions and has Simbro Sports number 20 of Gerard de Bar. Also, Luke Hamlin Fitzgerald starts 27. Gerard Brandl starts in the 737 Porsche in 28th ahead of Jeffrey Wolf in the 86 Ferrari. Jesper Peels in the 229 Honda NSX GT3 starts 30th. That completes the top 15 rows ahead of Denise Pope in the 79 Wild Things Mercedes McLaren. Mark Neutlings in the Warsteiner Tribute livery 666 BMW M6 starts 32nd ahead of Martin Dergala in the 458 Ferrari. Mike Markenstein in the 17 Honda. Then it's Evan Dafas, Denise Pope's teammate at the Wild Things crew in the 74 McLaren 720S in 35th, ahead of Richard Pixley, Callum Cook, Tadas Dovidaitis, and rounding out the 39-strong grid, it is Daniel Parker. Well, look at that sight. Charlie Crossland now starts leading the field away here at Imola, followed by Michael O'Brien. The anticipation here, David, is quite literally palpable, isn't it?
Oh, it's certainly a sight, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic race, of course, hour in length. Perfect conditions by the looks of it. No threat of rain, according to the forecast, at least for the first half an hour of the race. But looking up there, nice and warm, optimum track conditions. Yeah, should be a good one. It looks like it's just going to be man and machine who's going to get across the line first after a what I can only imagine is going to be a very frantic 60 minutes coming up.
Yes, the all-important rundown to Tamburello will decide how the story plays out before our very eyes. So the wind pickup, well, there's not much of a wind to speak of because it's just literally a fraction. It's 1 kilometre an hour. There is cloud cover over the circuit here of just you know, for the next 30 minutes. But we all know, David, now Lewis Turkington has just said in the chat, will it rain? Lewis, I think the best thing I'm going to say to you right now is I think we're going to have to wait and see. It is random weather, and with the way that cloud cover looks, David, I think anything's possible.
Absolutely, yeah. It's still nice and warm at the moment. It was very sunny during qualifying. However, yeah, you are right. It's looking like there's some quite thick cloud cover at the moment. As you see the Pulse Simsport trio jostling almost on the formation lap. Maybe trying to have a couple of words with each other out the window, maybe to try and set up some sort of battle plan. But yeah, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. I say we had a fully wet race at Kyalami a fortnight ago. But yeah, with that cloud cover, never beyond the realms of possibility. Probably would need a little bit of that, a little bit more wind to pick up though over the next probably half an hour or so, I'd suggest.
Indeed, and we have seen it in races before that when the rain hits, that track can go very, very greasy. Very, very quickly indeed. They're coming out of Acqua Minerale and heading to the Variante Alta. And one of the more important things that we're seeing now from the drivers here, David, is that the likes of Charlie Crossland, Michael O'Brien, Regan Mitchell, they are all starting to heat up the carcasses of those tyres, using the brakes to help build temperature in the tyres, as well as heat up the wheel rims, just to make sure that their weapons are as sharp as possible going into Tamburello. They want to make sure that they can nail the brakes with full confidence.
Oh, absolutely. The last thing you want to have is cold brakes into the first corner of the lap of a race, because you are going to be the one that is going to have a number of people around you probably throwing fists up in the air in dissatisfaction. Is probably the most politically correct way I could put it. But yeah, it's a little bit cloudier than it was in qualifying, so I'd imagine there's been a couple of setup changes, maybe changing the PSR on the tyres just to make them a little bit warmer. But yeah, as long as they, well, it looks like they're all going to be nice and warmed up now. These guys know what they're doing. They're very switched on as they line up side by side now. We'll get ready for everything to go green.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 60 minutes here at Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. And it is going to be an absolute barnstorm of 39 cars, nearly 21,500 horsepower here at Imola as we are getting ready. It is Crossland and O'Brien on the front row getting ready. They are in 2x2 formation. Once again, are we ready? Are we steady? Ladies and gentlemen, as we've got the triple screens courtesy of Mike Yao, we have got a chance to go green. Will it happen? We're still waiting. They're keeping them holding. And anyone getting a really bad run will get a drive through. It's green, green, green. O'Brien does the right thing behind Charlie Crossland and slots in behind, heading into Wills Tamburello as Martin Pilkington trying to go side by side with Regan Mitchell. And he's got past him already going through the first part of Tamburello. And that could allow Yannick Muller. Muller's making it 3 wide coming out of Tamburello. Oh my goodness me. Martin Pilkington went brazen as there's someone off in the grass. That's Adam Isalovic, ran towards the back of the field, and he gets a little bit of a tag from behind, but a clean start. And look at the gap already between Crossland, O'Brien, and then Mitchell is battling away with Martin Pilkington. Yannick Muller, I think, has lost a little bit of time there.
Yeah, Regan Mitchell is going to be screaming inside that cockpit at the moment with Martin Pilkington right on his rear wing. He wants to keep abreast of those two, have just disappeared up the road so far. But amazingly, 38 cars have gone into the first corner on this first lap at Imola, and from what I can tell, it looked like everyone made it through cleanly, barring I think it was Izailovic who went a little bit onto the grass coming out of Tamburello. But amazingly, testament to all the guys on the grid this evening, somehow managed to keep it clean, and that is quite a feat in itself, I've got to say.
Yeah, well, it looks like Dean Riley is ahead of Chris Pinchbeck at the moment in the battle for 6th and 7th position. Multiple cars actually have been seen having contact. One of them was actually Colin Turkington down the order. Well, a lot of drivers have lost positions. Isalovic all the way up in P7. He's down to P23 as now Regan Mitchell gets the hurry up from Aaron Martin Pilkington coming out of Rivazza as the leaders now head their way across the line. We've just had less than 2 minutes of action. And as customary here in GT3 Season 5, it is absolutely banging door panels. There are elbows out everywhere on the circuit, no matter which position you are in the grid, as Martin Pilkington looking towards the outside of Regan Mitchell. They're going side by side through the first part of Tamburello, but Martin Pilkington holds off and decides discretion is the better part of valour. But in the meantime, Yannick Muller is absolutely catching them like nobody's business. But the train behind him is being led by Dean Riley from Simsport Solutions Noir at the moment in the 22. Now, there was a bit of a run wide there. Now, was that Michael O'Brien or was that Charlie Crossland?
Looks like it's Michael O'Brien. Just seen him slip back in as we go through Tozer. That's going to give Charlie Crossland that bit of breathing room he wants. I think I also saw Alvarez Mikas going into Tamburello there as well, just put him right back into the swing of things. And Simon Crane making a couple of moves, getting himself up into 13th place as well. But Aaron Martin Pilkington is looking like he's going to have his work cut out for the next 60 minutes as he's trying to make his way around Regan Mitchell. He is making that McLaren as wide as he can possibly as he's going through these corners at this moment in time. Fantastic defending into Tamburello there.
Yeah, it looks like Simon Craig got past the 223 of Simsport Solutions Rouge's Rich Smith, and Smith has got Miles Dixon, and Povilaitis not too far behind. As now Simon Crane eyeing up a potential move in the next couple of laps or so on Ross McGregor, who's now got his way up into 11th position and is trying to chase down Karolis Sipavicius in 9th place, Kieran Vidargo up into 8th, Mikas down in 10th position. You can see how quick that Bentley for Simon Crane is at the moment, because he's absolutely closing on the number 15 of Ross McGregor. Good to see Ross McGregor back, and despite not being 100% up to health, he's still going to give it his all. And look how much toe he's got. That Bentley is pulled to the left-hand side of Aivaras Mikas, and this is going to be into the run. And this is a dogfight at nearly 250 kilometres an hour down into Tamburello. McGregor's got the inside run for the first part of it, and he slams on the brakes up the inside. There were yellow flags being waved there, I believe, ever so slightly. But as that is Aaron Martin Pilkington. Now, was there drama between him and Regan Mitchell? I'm not 100% sure, but that is disaster for Aaron Martin Pilkington. He's dropped all the way out of the top 20, I believe. And Colin Turkington, I think, he's got a good run on him at the moment. But that is disaster. That means Yannick Müller now has a bit of daylight between himself, and that is the case. Well, yeah, Colin Turkington runs a bit of wide coming out of Tozer, and that allows Aaron Martin Pilkington to try and look to the left of him, look to the right of him, down towards Piratella. Turkington holding the inside line, hits the brakes, they both come together, and off again goes Aaron Martin Pilkington. That's lightning striking twice at this circuit for the number 626, and that means his teammate from Racing Cube, Adam Isolovic, gets back up into 21st position.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see
drama.
Hopefully we'll see a replay of that on the going into Tamburello there. But I think, yeah, Aaron just needs to calm down a little bit. I think he saw the chance of Turkington, as you mentioned there, Alex, getting a little bit out of shape coming out of Tozer and giving himself the run up into Piratella. But let's be honest, he's always going to be shutting the door up that hill if he's on the outside line. And I think we're going to see the replay now coming into Tamburello. Does he dip a wheel onto the grass? Doesn't. Gets a little bit out of shape. He's been clipped. I think he might have just misjudged his braking zone there, because he went very, very deep for that move, almost full send into the second corner at Tamburello. And yeah, unfortunately, just caught the inside of Regan Mitchell and spun him round. Just a massive shame. It looks like he's dropping positions hand over fist. He's gone Stephen Haley now in 22nd position. Yeah,
I would imagine that Aaron Martin Pilkinson's probably got double the amount of damage after two incidents there. Obviously, the first one, Regan Mitchell held onto it and kept that 720S McLaren still pinned. And what drama we've had in just under 6 minutes here at Imola for round 3, season 5 of GT3. Don't forget to head to simsport-racing.com for all the information about the community and where you can find out how you can join. You can find out more about us as a team. The community that we have 685 members within this community, which includes us two in the virtual commentary box as well. So realistically, with nearly, what is going to be lap number 4 in the books for Charlie Crossland, he's now extended a 2.2 second gap over Michael O'Brien. Regan Mitchell rounds out the top 3 ahead of Yannick Müller, Dean Riley, Christopher Pinchbeck, Kieran Vidargo, Karolis Sipavicius, Ross McGregor, Aivaras Mikas, Simon Crane, the points leader, up into 11th, ahead of Rich Smith. And there is Miles Dixon closing on Rich Smith at the moment. And he's got Mantas Povilaitis just behind. Ranchif Kelsey rounds out the top 15. Lucas Sentalis, Sebastian de Tolonera, Roberto Santoro, Colin Turkington, and Adam Isolovic rounds out the top 20 as we now go on board with Kieran Vidargo, the second highest placed Ferrari in this gaggle of cars. 39 of them still circulating at the moment. And I've just seen that poor old Denise Pope, she's in the trenches again. She's ended up going from 31st to 38th. There were multiple incidents happening on the very first lap. But Charlie Crossland already into the sub 1 minute 42s. The number 66 has done a 1 minute 41.808. And now you can see these gaps, and this is between 4th to 7th position here, David. These drivers are covered by what? Just under 2 seconds as Ranjiv Kalsi goes up the inside of Rich Smith going through Toza. Smith trying to get the switch back. Smith towards the inside as they're going up from Toza, up the incline towards the left-hander at Piratella, and Rich Smith gets the inside line. Ranjiv Kalsi, do not try and chance it. He slots in behind, and there is Lucas Sentales waiting in the wings to see what happens in front.
You won't have seen what Aaron Martin Pilkington did a couple of laps ago, but he's played it sensible. He's dropped in behind him. Ferrari's quick around here, as we know. Not necessarily seeing much of it apart from Yannick Muller and Kieran Vidago, of course, in the top 10 at the moment. But it's starting to look a little bit like we might be starting to form a bit of a Yannick Muller train. He's certainly going to be looking backwards towards Dean Riley rather than forwards to Regan Mitchell in the McLaren as it stands. However, still plenty of time left in this race. And interestingly, Ivaris Mikas, who we're on board with now, was actually the fastest man on track doing a 1:41.7 last lap. So clearly has got the setup working in that Aston Martin V8, and he's looking at a chance on championship leader Simon Crane going into lap number 6.
Yeah, that's very much the case there, because what can happen is that as soon as you get a really, really good tow, and that Bentley we know has a lot of dirty air behind it, and Ivaris Mikas has picked the right spot just to keep in behind as they now go into the braking zone into Tamburello. But Simon Crane looking to extend his advantage in the championship. He's had the 2 wins so far, but he's on the back foot a little bit here. But we have seen it before where championships have not necessarily been concluded just by winning the first race of the season. And I know that Simon Crane will definitely know that, and he will want to make sure that if he can stay in the top 10 after this race, I think that's going to be a case of damage limitation heading towards the next round at Zandvoort.
Absolutely. What did he start at? About 15th, 16th on the grid, I think it was, maybe even a little bit lower. So yeah, if he can get himself in the top 10, he'll be very pleased with that day's work. Judging by what the championship standings are at the moment, he should retain his position at the top there, I would imagine, barring any miraculous collapses throughout the next 50 minutes or so. But yeah, like I say, you're not going to win all 6 of these, especially with the difference in tracks that we've got. The Bentley is not necessarily going to be the most powerful car around here, we know that. And yeah, like you say, Alex, damage limitation from Simon potentially, but still plenty of time, and he's still got plenty of positions. He's got Simon McGregor rather. Ross McGregor, if I can get his first name right, in front of him. He'll be looking towards the back of his car sooner rather than later, I'm sure.
Very much the case. So we've completed the first 6 of this 60-minute race. 49 minutes and 45 seconds to go as Adam Isalovic closing on Roberto Santoro for position. They're now heading down the dip towards Rivazza. The double left-hander taking a second gear at about 100 to 105 kilometres an hour before they head their way across the start-finish line. It's a very long back straight, and this is one of the main overtaking opportunities here, David, that you can really get a good run. We saw that with Ross McGregor a little bit earlier on, a couple of laps ago, if you really are in the slipstream, and he pulled alongside to get the move done. So Ross McGregor knows that that's one of the perfect opportunities to overtake. But then also going from Variante Alta down to Rivazza, that's another perfect overtaking opportunity here as well at Imola.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can get some good runs out of here. Like say, come out of Rivazza, you've got that lovely long start-finish straight as Salovic looking to go down the inside into Villeneuve, but yeah, quite rightly, I think, thinks better of it and just sits in behind Santoro for another couple of corners. But I think, yeah, you want to get the inside line into Tamburello. It isn't one of those where it's tight enough to get a switchback or anything like that. So if you can get the inside line.
Right, okay, now we're heading over to Colin Turkington. This is a replay. Oh, spins around and gets hit. So effectively he went over the sausage curves coming out of Variante Alta. The car then literally pirouetted literally 90 left, and then got tagged by one of the Racing Cube cars. Now, I think that might have possibly been Adam Isalovic. I think I'm just going to have a look on that front. We're just going to have a look. Right, okay, we're going to have another look. So something else has also transpired. Now, this is going into Rivazza, and there is one of... and another tag, and Colin Turkington beached on the outside of the first... cars going left and right of the number 3 Mercedes. Colin Turkington has definitely been in the wars, and also the driver that caused the incident has done the sportsmanlike thing. This is what we see in Simsport Racing. Everyone has a lot of mutual respect that if you are the one that has caused said incident, you're under obligation through a sportsmanship etiquette to give the position back.
Absolutely. Doesn't matter whether they used to be a professional racing driver or they're one of the guys in the community. It's lovely to see that. I think that was Callum Cook who caused that, and I don't think there's anything too wrong. I think it looked like Colin left the door maybe open a tad, probably shut it a little bit too late, maybe going for a late apex. So I can't necessarily say anything bad about Callum making that move, but yeah, very good of him to sit back and wait for Colin to come back on track.
Okay, so we're going back to. Oh goodness me! You know they say bad things come in threes. That's through Aqua Minerale. And yeah, sorry to Lewis and Adam. We know you guys are watching. We know your dad's trying his hardest. It's not easy when you've got an ultra competitive racing community, but it's good to see Colin with us and actually giving us, well, not through his own fault in some respects, but when other people have sort of turned him around. But you know, at the end of the day, what he's going to do as a champion-winning racing driver, a champion race driver, he's going to get back out on track. He's going to go and do as much as he can throughout the remainder of the next 46.5 minutes of this race, and put his car up as high the order as possible. As Adam Isalovic makes a mistake, that was coming out of Aqua Minerale. Now his teammate Aaron Martin Pilkington, literally going towards the inside through into Rivazza, but then thinks better of it. I think Aaron Martin Pilkington's learnt his lesson with that clash with Regan Mitchell a bit earlier on the very first lap.
Yeah, he certainly had his fair share of bumps and scrapes in his first couple of corners. Yeah, fortunately for the Pilkington lads, yeah, good to see your dad on the cameras quite frequently, but not necessarily showing his qualities. Sorry,
Turkington. Come on, get your teeth
get
back
your
in,
names
David.
right.
Come on.
Not necessarily showing him in the best light, are we? Unfortunately, but yeah, like you say, he's still with him. He's a born professional. He'll keep at it, and it looks like he's going to have a chance to close that gap between himself and Callum Cook. As we see, is this Pilkington looking? Oh, he's got team orders potentially there. It looked like it was a very easy move going into Villeneuve, interestingly enough, and Isalovic just sensibly just disappears out of the way, and looks like he's going to allow Aaron to have a chance at the back of Santoro on this next lap.
Well, that's actually Jeffrey Wolf that's in front of Colin Turkington at the moment in the 86 Ferrari. So Jeffrey was the one that actually, unfortunately, tagged Colin going through into the first part of Rivazza there. So Colin Turkington looking to close up. And you can see, a little bit of scarring on that Mercedes, but it's still going ahead and still moving forward. So Colin Turkington will push like absolutely crazy. Looks like the 458 of Martin Dagala's not too far ahead either, I believe. So we now see Ross McGregor go up the inside of Chris Pinchbeck going through, and that is he's done a brilliant move there. Nailed it up the inside through the first part of Rivazza, and then managed to get past Pinchbeck on the second part of it. So a really, really good job there from Ross McGregor.
Yeah, certainly the way you want to make those moves into Rivazza, isn't it? Get it done in the first one, close it off for the second. Although, come to think of it, it is giving Chris Pinchbeck the chance to have a run down into Tamburini. It does get the inside line. Is he going to make it sticky? It looks like he's going to be able to. Oh, it's very close. A little bit of contact there, it looked like. But it looks like Chris has managed to make the move stick. And it's now going to put Ross under an immense amount of pressure from Kieran Vidago and championship leader Simon Crane, who again is starting to make his way up the field even further.
Well, Simon Crane's kept it planted round the outside. That was brave in the Bentley, just absolutely not giving Kieran Vidago any opportunity whatsoever as they go through the left-hander at Torza. Ivaras Mikas now getting into the thick of things, as this is now the Chris Pinchbeck train. Obviously, it was very much the case that Ross McGregor thought, yeah, I'm going to give Chris Pinchbeck and the commentators something to think about. And he got caught out. He got hoisted by his own petard a little bit there, I'm afraid to say. But Simon Crane, these two have history, both he and Ross McGregor. Remember Brands Hatch on the very first lap? Well, they're back at it again. And this time it is for sixth position in the running order so far, with 43 minutes and 10 seconds still to go. Charles Moen, the race is an hour long in completion, so we've got just 17 minutes of that completed, 43 minutes to go. There are no mandatory pit stops, as again Ross McGregor looked towards the left hand side of Chris Pinchbeck going into Rivazza. And as we're now going to go to a replay. Now, this is the one of the Hondas, and that is the number 17 of Mike Markstein, who goes Tokyo drift in front of Mark Neutelings. And Neutelings manages... Neutelings gets turned around, and the back end of the BMW hits the barriers, and Markstein gets nowhere to go and nearly comes back into the path of Colin Turkington. Oh my goodness, there's Ross McGregor has just gone off the track and is literally straight low in Tamburello, and that has meant that Chris Pinchbeck has gone up the inside. Simon Crane looking up the inside of McGregor there. McGregor now trying to go on the offensive. Oh, they clash again, and this time Simon Crane goes wide. Kieran Vidago gets up into what is now 7th position as Simon Crane fires it back up the inside of Ivaras Mikas. Oh my goodness me. More up and downs than a yo-yo here at the moment, and this is only getting started.
This is crazy, isn't it? I mean, yeah, you said it was the Chris Pinchbeck train. It went down to about Miles Dixon before, and it's now nearly going down to Rich Smith and Povolitis as well if it keeps going like this. And you see, it's like Kieran Vidago trying to go down the inside into, well, geez, he's not going to try and do it there, is he? No, sensibly decides to leave it into Aqua Minerale. But yeah, I mean, props to Simon Crane there. He got a little bit of panel rubbing into Villeneuve, but the way he managed to keep that thing pointing in the right direction and got back on, and even tried to go for a move past Vidago into Tojo. Everyone's gone off there.
Now that was a massive moment. That was Ivaras Mikas, I think, that's just gone off the circuit. Yes, that is the case. So the Aston Martin now drops out of the top 10. So Yannick Müller gets ahead, and Simon Crane up into P7. But Chris Pinchbeck still holding on for 5th position at the moment. We've got we're less than a third of this race through, and no one knows what's going to happen. But meanwhile, at the front of the field, Charlie Crossland has started to canter away from Michael O'Brien, the number 66 Mercedes, around he's just under 6.1 seconds. We're going to go to a replay now. Now, this is Pinchbeck and McGregor. McGregor looking towards the outside. And he just loses it in the braking zone. Nearly hits Pinchbeck on the right-hand side. Yeah, it looks like he might have got a little bit of a push there. But Pinchbeck... Yeah, the thing is, McGregor's let Pinchbeck get past. Simon Crane's come up on the back bumper of McGregor, up towards the inside through Villeneuve. So, yeah, that was very interesting. And now they're at loggerheads again. Pinchbeck and McGregor. McGregor's powering round the outside, coming out of Tosa, going into Pitatella. Simon Crane, puts one wheel on the grass, clashes with the right-hand side of Pinchbeck. Crane drifts wide through the first part of Pitatella, down the dip towards Aqua Minerale. Pinchbeck back up into position. So Pinchbeck up into 7th, but here comes Kieran Vidago, and he's definitely got the fire lit in the belly as Martin Zagala coming under fire from Colin Turkington, and this is for P29.
It's absolutely incredible, isn't it? I mean, there's just action all over the field. Props to Mike running the stream this evening. Fantastic work as ever. The fact he's managing to keep abreast of everything that's going on at the moment is nothing short of incredible. And this battle is not going to be stopping anytime soon. Gap to Miles Dixon between Kieran Vidago has managed to extend a little bit, so the train has shortened slightly. We have dropped into maybe even 2 trains potentially if you look at it that way. But yeah, this front 4 is not going to be stopping anytime soon, and we see Kieran Vidago might want to try and get a run onto Simon Crane as they go down into Tamburello onto lap number 13 now.
Well, Charlie Crossland at the moment has got the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 41.541, and that was set around just over nearly 6 minutes ago. So at the minute, Charlie Crossland is going for what they call the Grand Chelem, basically pole position, fastest lap and a race victory. He's got a 6.3 second advantage over Michael O'Brien, who's got Regan Mitchell trying to close him down, as it looks like. Now that's Yannick Müller that's gone off the track. Yannick Müller's had a massive moment. He was in P11. Now the 143 has dropped down the order. He's ended up ahead of Lucas Entalis, and there's one of the Racing Cube McLarens. And that's Adam Isolovic. He's up into P19. And there is Sebastian Totolaner, who runs wide. And that was coming out of Villeneuve. And then Isolovic goes around the outside of him, going into Doza. Gerard Debar. And then you've got Tom Smith in the exiled Ferrari. Steve Haley down in 22nd position, ahead of teammate Dave Hedges. So sideways Steve trying to look to keep that car pointed in the right direction, rather than going all Maranello drift on us here at Imola, as he's looking towards the inside of Tom Smith there, going through into Aqua Minerale. And in the picture-in-picture, on the back of roof cam of Chris Pinchbeck, as there is Simon Crane looking rather foreboding and looking to close up as the gaggles of trains here at Imola continue to race around the 3.050 mile circuit completely unabated.
You could hit the nail on the head, Alex, didn't you? There's definitely gaps across the field, but my word, there's some trains and some battles forming. It's good because we see we've got in the main picture at the moment Simon Crane. The difference in speed there is incredible. Doesn't quite manage to get enough on him to get the move done into Tamburello past Chris Pinchbeck, but he is getting closer and closer, and I would imagine Chris is starting to feel a little bit warm under the collar. He's starting to get the moves done on him. You can see Simon's just starting to show to the inside a couple of times, just letting him know he's there, giving him that little reminder. I'm sure Chris will be very aware of that, and he'll be trying to make that Mercedes as wide as possible and see if he can hold on to that 6th position.
Yeah, well, I've seen that Yannick Müller has pulled it into the pit lane. Yannick Müller, I think if that damages terminal, Yannick Müller will not be continuing any further in this race. Now we head back to the battle between Tom Smith, Stephen Haley. You've got Dave Hedges, so you've got Sideways Steve and Drifter Dave in those lovely looking Ferrari 488 GT3s. They've got Jesper Peels in the number 229 Honda NSX GT3 Evo just behind. So this is an interesting four-way scrap for what is the last position in the top 20, as it looks like Dave Hedges was the slightly wider car going out of the track, coming into Piratella, but was still within track limits. As you can just see, the front left wheel of that number 88 Ferrari gets a little bit airborne coming out of Acqua Minerale. And now this has become a bit of a train, and this is the De Tolonera train, and that's from 18th back to around 23rd position. And you might want to keep your eyes on Stein Pasmont and the Sol Lamborghini. He's about 1.8 seconds behind. But if this gaggle decides to start battling away, and that could happen between De Tolonera and De Bar, then we could be in for a bit of a ruckus in a few moments' time.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen Haley looking to make the move on Tom Smith here as well. He's certainly got the legs. He's in equal machinery, so there's only setup that might change anything here. Looks like he's not necessarily going to be close enough to look to the outside. Probably not where you're going to want to make that move stick. You're going to want ideally that inside line, because obviously you've got the 3 apex into Tamburello where you would be. There you see Simon Crane getting very close. There's going to be a chance for a move up into, what is it, Piratella we're going towards now. He has got the inside line. He's going to last to the late breakers, and looks like a fairly clean move at the end, and exceptional camera work. He's coming back down the inside. This is just not going to stop as they go into Acqua Minerale. This is going to be close. You can't fit 2 cars through there. And Simon Crane, after what has been a marathon, I think he's probably thinking, has finally managed to make his way past Chris Pinchbeck, and now he sets his sights on Ross McGregor ahead of him.
Simon Crane, Chris Pinchbeck, that was absolutely ridiculous side by side going into Acqua Minerale from Piratella. But yeah, that battle's really heating up. But also you've got to keep your eyes on that dark horse behind him, the prancing horse that is of Apex Predator Racing's Kieran Vidago, just behind that duo as we go back to this intense battle for what is still 18th position. And moment there for Dave Hedges. Dave Hedges now being passed towards the outside going into Rivazza after a moment there through Variante Alta for the number 88. And Jesper Peels now goes back up the inside of him. And that's really changed the dynamic. Oh, moment there for Stephen Haley coming out to the second left of Rivazza. A wheel on the dust coming out of the corner. And that has lost him some momentum behind Tom Smith, who is now closing fast on Gerard De Bar. He goes to the left, he goes to the left into Tamburello. He's not alongside enough to get past Gerard De Bar, who makes that Nissan GT3 Nismo as wide as possible, as there's more off-track excursions courtesy of Sebastian De Tolonera, as now Tom Smith closing up close and personal, going through into Villeneuve on Gerard De Bar, and it looks like Stephen Haley has wound up the wick on that Ferrari, and he's closing. Meanwhile, Ranjiv Kalsi, who started 16th, now closing on 14th place behind Lucas Sentalis in the number 102 Nissan as we go on board with the Ferrari, the number 47, down into Aqua Minerale, goes late on the brakes as Ranjith Kelsey up through the second gear, right-hand corner there, and down towards the picture-in-picture on the bottom right of your screen. Stephen Haley looking one way, then the other on Tom Smith, who's doing exactly the same on Gerard Debar, but it's Tom Smith that's got to make that ultimate choice. Do I go for the move on Debar, or do I put on the defensive against Stephen Haley?
Yeah, he's in between a rock and a hard place, isn't he? He's gonna go for the move. Oh, what's happened there? I think there's been a bit of contact.
There's a touch between Gerard Debar and Tom Smith, I think there. That was just outside of the camera's view, or from my peripheral vision there. But Dave Hedges, it looks like Stephen Haley now goes up into 19th position as Dave Hedges tries to banzai up the inside of the Nissan through Rivazza there. And that is for what is effectively, I think that was going to be
20th position.
21st position. So Dave Hedges now closing on Gerard Debar. He goes to the left-hand side of the cyan blue Nissan, now goes back into the draft, going across the start-finish line. Hedges towards the outside, going to the braking zone. Oh, he goes on the grass, all four wheels, and loses him positions. Tom Smith up the inside and Stain Passport, waiting in the wings for more dramas. Oh, and Haley, Dave Hedges off the track, Gerard Debar off the track. Oh, and more there's a clash behind, and was that Brandel in the 737? He was closing. Dave Hedges, massive damage, and he tries to rotate the car. The left-hand side smacks into the barriers off the exit of Tamburello. Disaster for Dave Hedges.
Oh, I was just about to say he's done an absolute miracle work managing to keep that Ferrari going, pointing in the right direction as he goes onto the grass at what would have been about 250 kilometers an hour going into Tamburello, and then as soon as he corrected that, caught the curve, sent him off in through the second one, and then just as soon as he comes back on, unfortunately a completely unaware Brandel coming back through the third of the little kinks into Tamburello, just gets caught completely unaware, and just sends him spinning off into the gravel, unfortunately. But could have been so close, but no, unfortunately, dipping all four wheels onto the grass, it wasn't even one. Just sent him into oblivion pretty much, didn't he? He's never going to recover from that.
Yeah, and I'm sad to say this, the Warsteiner BMW of Mark Neutelings has unfortunately retired just before the halfway mark. So a real shame for Mark. I love that livery on that car. It's the only livery that car can have. So Miles Dixon goes a little bit off track through the gravel, through the exit of Tamburello, and that allows Kieran Vidago and Carolus Supervicious to move up into 8th and 9th place respectively. We've still got just over half of this race to go here, David. I don't think my heart rate per minute has gone down probably past 145 beats.
Yeah, I'll certainly be keeping an eye on the heart rate monitor by the end of this session. I don't know if you'll be the same, but oh my word, yeah, half an hour of just flat out action. And it's not going to stop. There is battles all over the place. See Chris Pinchbeck going a little bit wide. I think probably the thing they've got to be a little bit more aware of now is it's going to start to have a consideration of track limits. I think we've seen quite a few people, especially through Piratella, going a little bit wider than they probably should be. So I'm sure there'll be a handful of people with a couple of track limit warnings creeping up on them at this moment in time.
Cameron Fife has put in one of the best comments I think of the night. Cameron Fife saying, "Round 1 of the Simsport Racing Rallycross series, only at Imola, Cameron." we've had quite a few people dip their toe into the gravel, and yeah. Oh, Mark, you're kidding me. He said, "Well, Alex, it's going to be the last time you're going to see it." That's a shame, Mark. But let's see you come back and fight with these guys once again. I know you're capable, my friend. So yeah, Mark Neuteling's unfortunately out of the race. And it looks like, I'm not too sure if Daniel Parker is probably still in the race as well. We've had quite a few drivers. Yannick Miller has retired. It looks like Callum Cook in the number 25 is the last, I think, of the drivers still circulating in 36th position. So yeah, he's currently running at the moment. As now Stephen Haley looking to go side by side, Ferrari versus Ferrari, prancing horse versus prancing horse, down towards Tamburello. This is the battle for 18th position. Haley thinks better of it, looks towards the outside of the 330, as that is Jesper Peels just behind him in the Honda NSX, just one of two. As the sister car to that, Mike Markenstein down in 27th position, as Alan Marin, Martin Pilkington is actually closing on Lucas Sentalis for and it looks like he touched a wheel outside of the track and that has just lost him a bit of momentum behind Lucas Zentalis. 27 minutes and 50 seconds still to go. We're concentrating on this battle as Peels just dips a wheel onto the grassy dust, the dusty grass there, sorry. I can't get my words out right this evening. That's how exciting it's been. Moment for Titolinera straight off of Piratella. Not too sure if there was contact there, but he just literally went harpooning into the barriers on the right-hand side. And yeah, that front end of Titolinera's car is rather second-hand right now.
Deary me, that was a big moment. It looked as though Stephen Haley was probably a little bit too far back for there to have been any contact. It looked like he just overcorrected and yeah, just sent it straight into the wall. And fortunately, obviously with it being a sim race, he'll be okay. Maybe a little bit, maybe his ego will be battered and bruised, but he'll be able to carry on. But like you say, that Ferrari is looking a little bit worse for wear at the front end after that collision.
And that brings the comment right now. Thank you, Mark Neuslings. Ferrari doesn't really like this track, does it? And Yannick Mullers just responded saying, yeah, it hates it a lot. That's why we're seeing a Mercedes win. Now, I've seen in other leagues that I've commentated on, I've even seen an Audi R8 win here at Imola. And I know that a good friend of mine will, well, one of them will testify to this, that literally I think it was a Ferrari and a Mercedes leading the way. And it was the last lap. And Mark Neusling's apps. What was this? Chris has just gone. I think what are you saying that Sebastian Titolinera went to the burger van on that one? Well, who knows? You might need to ask him yourself on that one. Mark Neusling's just commenting on how far back Stephen Haley and Dave Hedges are at the minute. Well, to be honest with you, Steve Haley has. And yeah. Well, Yannick Muller has just stated. Yeah, Chris has just said to me in response to what I've just said about Sebastian Titolinera, going yes, reference the burger van. Oh God, I've had it another championship where someone says there's someone going for the ice cream van, and now I've had it here, burger van at Simsport Racing. But Yannick Muller's actually been quite upfront about what he said. He said he hit a curb, the car took off, and then his steering wheel span rather rapidly and nearly broke his wrist.
Oh dear, that's one of those ones. Yeah.
That's not what you want. If you're running on direct drive, Yannick, I wouldn't be at all surprised if you're running on direct drive feedback, because that can really, really hurt if the steering wheel starts spinning. But we're on board now with Chris Pinchbeck. Simon Crane, I must be completely honest, having started down in 17th position in this race, he now is he's up by 11 positions as Aaron Martin Pilkington started on P4 alongside Regan Mitchell, now has Lucas Zentalis in the Nissan in front of him, and Mark Neuslings is joining in on the burger chat. He said I could use a burger I could eat now. Well, isn't it about dinner time for you now, is it, Mark? Possibly, but Martin Pilkington looking a bit feisty, trying to go around the outside of Zentalis. This is bringing Ranjiv Kalsi and Adam Isalovic into the mix, and Zentalis holds on. Aaron Martin Pilkington flashing lights saying, no, that wasn't quite cricket. And then Ranjiv Kalsi goes, I don't care about you flashing your lights there, Aaron. You're going off the outside of the track limits. And Ranjiv Kalsi up the inside. But then Aaron Martin Pilkington responds, going into the next left-hander into Ackerman and Ali. Oh, my goodness. And, oh, God, Mike Yao, our broadcast director, has already started getting in on the action with the burger chat. And he's just mentioned my moment there, and that is Adam Isalovic. He goes grass cutting the inside of Variante Alta, whereas Ranjiv Kalsi goes off the track on the outside of Variante Alta. Two wrongs don't make a right, gentlemen.
Well, I mean, Aaron Martin Pilkington can't keep himself away from the action. I think he would probably be fair to say he's probably not had a quiet lap in this entire race so far. I, for one, probably thought he might have been going for a portion of chips as he went a little bit wide into a Piratella there. We see Chris Pinchbeck now following very, very closely behind Simon Crane. See a couple of back markers in play there as well, but fortunately doing the very sensible decision and moving swiftly out of the way, and allowing these two guys to keep their battle going on at the moment. Interestingly enough, Alex, I don't know if you've spotted it. Oh, my word.
Martin Pilkington again. He's in the wars. This guy does not know when to quit. He was up the inside of Lucas Zentalis. The Nissan kept it in front. I mean, you said about Martin Pilkington. I think for the man being, I think he's been like a damage magnet tonight. Like literally, the action has found him as Crane now fighting away with Pinchbeck, as Pinchbeck really senses an opportunity for sixth position. Look at how fast he is in the slipstream. You know, Pinchbeck goes out to the right-hand side to show Simon Crane that he's there. Through Variante Alta, they both make it neat and tidily through. Behind them is Kieran Vidago and Carolus Supervicious. We've got just under 22 and a half minutes. There are battles there are battles here, there's battles everywhere as Martin Pilkington's still trying to close and get past Lucas Sentalis, whereas Simon Crane through Rivazza is getting the hurry up once again from Chris Pinchbeck in the number 43 Mercedes as now they hurtle their way across the start-finish line.
Unbelievable stuff. Still 20 minutes to go, and I don't know if you've noticed, Alex, but on the forecast window in the top corner we are apparently expecting some rain. Whether that will come in before the end of the race is another question, but certainly something to keep an eye out for. Looks like Pinchbeck in the picture is a little bit too far back, so he tends to hold off. However, Aaron Martin Pilkington, our damage magnet, as you've affectionately termed him as, is looking at a move on Lucas and Talis once more as we go on to lap 23 now of this 1 hour race here at Imola.
You know what's really funny? We're talking about drivers getting into battles, and everyone's talking about burgers on the motoring chat. Is there a deal on? I hate pickles. I'm not going to mention any names because you know who you are, guys. It all started with the burger van comment, and then it's all just gone downhill from there. But yeah, you can just see that. I've just seen that Supervicious is closing on Vidago. That is. Oh, now there's one of the back markers off, and has just taken out one of the Audi Sport. No, taken both Audi Sport barriers, placards off the circuit and thrown it into the virtual tifosi on the right-hand side of the grandstands. That was one of the Ferraris. Not too sure who that was. As Chris Pinchbeck bouncing his way over the sausage curbs through Variante Alta, trying to close up once again on Simon Crane. And you can just see how quickly these drivers are moving along, and it looks like the Centalis is keeping ahead of. And now we said about drive-throughs. Ivaris Mikas now, David, has got a drive-through penalty that has dropped out of the top 15.
I was just about to say exactly that. Yeah, it can only be track limits at this moment in time, especially knowing the track. So yeah, he's obviously been a little bit too greedy on curbs on exit and entry, and he's going to pay the price. He's got 3 laps to pay that penalty. It looks like he's going to do it on the first time of asking, because I didn't see that on the last lap, but he's going to be dropped right the way down the field, and it will promote these two up into 13th and 14th respectively.
Oh, I've just heard that Chris Pinchbeck has gone off the track, and that has allowed. Now he was chasing down. Oh my goodness, been Kieran Vidago around the outside of him, through into Villeneuve, and then just behind is Carolus Supervicious. Pinchbeck loses out big time, but then tries to look up the inside through Toza on Carolus Supervicious. He's had a massive moment that was coming out, I think, out of Tamburello or maybe even Villeneuve, as Aaron Martin Pilkington closing on the teammate. Oh, hits Sentalis from behind, going into the very next left-hander. That was Toza, and now Chris Pinchbeck dropping out of 7th position now down into 9th, and that gave an opportunity. That door was stretched wide open for both Kieran Vidago and Carolus Supervicious. So Chris Pinchbeck was on form for a top 6 finish, as Martin Pilkington again trying to look towards the inside through into the left-hander at Aqua Minerale before the next left-hander on Lucas Sentalis. This is far from over, and at the moment my priority is looking at the racing, not talking about burgers. Thank you, Yannick Muller, for putting that point across, my friend. But now we're on board with Aaron Martin Pilkington, and look, Sentalis is getting a bit out of shape coming out of Variante Alta. And now into the rundown. One wheel on the grass. That was the left rear of Zentalis' Nissan going towards the approach onto Livazza, and Martin Pilkington looking towards the outside of the corner. The McLaren trying to get traction. He's not run into the gravel quite yet. Isalovic just behind, slots in behind the number 626's teammates at Racing Cube. It's Nissan versus McLaren, and Martin Pilkington looking towards what will end up being the initial Apex for Tamburello, but Zentalis cuts across the front of the McLaren. Now down into the braking zone. Martin Pilkington looking towards the outside. He's going to go round the outside. Is he? No, he does not.
Oh,
and he goes straight on. A little bit of touch between the pair, and he's got to give the place back to Zentalis before he can start attacking again. And Martin Pilkington still kept the throttle stuck in. Isolovic waiting behind him. Ranjith Kelsey is closing on them rather rapidly.
The cojones on Aaron Martin Pilkington as well. I think Zentalis getting a little bit out of shape as well. Coming out of Villeneuve into Tozer. He's got the outside line. He's presumably going to shift him out, is he? Oh, very sensible from Zentalis there, giving him the move. He's going to be interested in seeing who's going to get the run up to Piratella. Are we going to see the Nissan or the McLaren getting into it? They're still side by side. This is absolutely ridiculous. The cojones on both of these guys. Oh, is Aaron Martin Pilkington going very wide, opens the door. Isolovic goes through. Just about who's then going to put the pressure on Zentalis himself. It is literally a tag team at the moment on this Nissan GTR. This is ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, the Racing Cube boys definitely giving us plenty to talk about this evening, as Isolovic will not get the run ahead of Aaron Martin Pilkington. I did say, watch out for Ranjith Kelsey, as those famed colours, as there is a bit of a run wide coming out of the Variante Alta by Aaron Martin Pilkington, as he still is trying to hunt down Lucas Zentalis. Adam Isolovic just behind, and then you've got Ranjith Kelsey as they go into the double left at Rivazza, and this is where it's going to get rather interesting. They come out of the corner, they now power their way across to the start-finish line. Ross McGregor up into 5th position, and he's definitely made some good inroads this evening, having started from 13th. That's a positional increase of 8 places this evening, as now Isolovic really getting in the toe of teammate Aaron Martin Pilkington and Ranjith Kelsey. Ranjith Kelsey straight on at Tamburello. I think he outbraked himself there, and he does a bit of Ferrari rally crossing. And then in sympathy, Adam Isolovic comes out of Tamburello and touches the right rear wheel on the dusty stuff there.
Oh, this is ridiculous. I was just about to say, I bet Ranjith Kelsey's licking his lips knowing he's behind these three, because they have been nothing short of door-to-door for the past 15-20 minutes minimum. And then just as he does that, I don't know what's going on with these Ferraris. It's almost like there's some sort of magnet in that grass as you go towards Tamburello. There's been so many of them dipping a wheel or more on and just shooting it off into the gravel trap. It's amazing they've all managed to keep themselves pointing forwards over this race. It's been absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not done over yet, guys and girls. It is not done and dusted yet. 15.5 minutes still to go. Running order at the minute. This is a great comment from Mark Neutelings. This would be great if Ranch was actually in a Lancia Stratos, which actually sported that livery back in the late 70s. Ranjith Kelsey, Ferrari's top rally driver. Well put, Mark Neutelings. Great quip of the night as well. So at the moment, with just a quarter of this race still to go now. Crikey, that 45 minutes has gone past very quickly, David. 66 of Charlie Crossan still leads by a comfortable gap ahead of Michael O'Brien. Regan Mitchell in 3rd. 4th, it's Dean Ridey. Ross McGregor in 5th. Simon Crane. Kieran Vidago. Carolis Sipavicius. Chris Pinchbeck. Rich Smith. Mantas Povilaitis up to 11th. Miles Dixon. Lucas Zentalis. Aaron Martin Pilkington. Then you've got Adam Isolovic running out the top 15 ahead of Ranjith Kelsey. Stephen Haley.
Alex, crossed a bit of contact there. We see Richard Pixley being taken. Well, I wouldn't say taken out, but a little bit of contact between him and Brandel there. Unfortunately, it's a bit more.
That was the Tolanera banzai up his way past Pixley there in the that lovely silk cut. Brandel going definitely off the track there, and I think that Porsche is going to be parked. I must give credit where credit is due, because that livery was designed by Denise Pope, of all people, the number 79 from Wild Things in the McLaren 720S. Denise has been racing in quite a few other competitions, which includes the SimGrid's more female races by Thrustmasters. Thrustmaster that's just had its 2nd season completed, and she joined us in the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4, I think for season 3 of GT4 here on Simsport Racing, and she's a welcome part of the community here. As now we go back to this absolutely scintillating battle between Aaron Martin Pilkington, Lucas Zentalis and Adam Isolovic, who were respectively 14th, 13th and 15th respectively. They now go into the double left at Rivazza. and no one giving any quarter. But Zentalis has done an absolutely fantastic job, wouldn't you agree, David, keeping ahead of the 2 Racing Cube McLaren 720Ss thus far.
Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, we know that Nissan's quite a wide car in terms of dimensions anyway, but he has made it enormous for the last half an hour or so. I don't know how he's managed to do it. If it was me, I'd have been in the wall about 20 minutes ago, no doubt. Or somewhere way behind these two. And the fact he's managed to keep them both behind, as it's almost like it's been their battle plan to almost sabotage his race to an extent. The fact that he's managed to keep ahead of them has been nothing short of sensational.
Yep. Very true indeed. As now on the main picture we see Chris Pinchbeck, who's still in the top 10, but he's sitting in 9th position after that dramatic moment that saw him drop from 7th whilst chasing Simon Crane down to 9th position. And now he's got Rich Smith in the Simsport Solutions Rouge number 223 Mercedes AMG GT3. They're heading through Variante Alta, and actually just up ahead they've started to catch the people in front, haven't they? Because I think that's at the back of that train, that's Corolla Supervicious, and Kieran Vidago's just ahead of him. Yeah, they have, as now Smith looks to banzai up the inside of Pinchbeck through the first part of Rivazza, and that was actually quite a clean move there. Pinchbeck knew the move was coming, decided to go to the right-hand side of the corner, allowed Smith the racing room and opportunity to go up the inside. And just looking at Rich Smith's times in comparison with Chris Pinchbeck, as moment there for Zentalis. That was through the first part of Rivazza, and Aaron Martin Pilkington was like a proverbial rat up a drainpipe to snatch that position, and that puts him up into P13. But Rich Smith, last time out on the last tour, was about 0.6 of a second quicker than Chris Pinchbeck on that particular occasion. Is now keeping ahead at the moment. But look, it's happening. Look, it's nearly 3 wide. Oh, there's a tag there, and that was that Isolovic on Zentalis. Isolovic goes off the track through the second half of Tamburello, and that puts him well and truly out of that dogfight. It was 2 McLarens versus a Nissan, and Adam Isolovic definitely on the back foot there.
Yeah, it was a pincer movement there from the 2 McLaren boys, wasn't it? One either, I'll go down the inside, you go down the outside, they were saying to each other, and well, I mean, the size of that Nissan, it's going to take a little bit of shifting to get out of the way, and I'm sure Aaron will be relieved, to say the least, to finally see the back of that, the back of Zentalis in that Nissan, because he will have been stuck. Well, he's been stuck behind him for as long as I can remember, to be completely honest with you.
Good to see the Jag well and truly represented, courtesy of the Lost Jaguar Racing crew of Pixley, who's just been battling away with Pixley and Parker. With Pixley battling away with Sebastian Totolaneras, as Rich Smith coming back under pressure from Chris Pinchbeck, and they've got a back marker just up ahead, one of the Ferraris there, as we now head into the final 10 minutes of the race. Charlie Crossland has a 6-second gap over Michael O'Brien, and that's the 66 Mercedes and the 77 McLaren respectively, with Regan Mitchell completing the top 3 at the moment. All results tonight, as someone's had a massive off, I think there. That was through possibly Tamburello. Well, someone did a bit further on, and then there was further dust struck up, and it looks to be one of the Ferraris down going through into Villeneuve. And they've just got to make sure that they keep out of the way, and that Ferrari definitely has got some dust and some stones going through the front splitter and the front radiator grills round about now.
Honestly, if we don't see a Ferrari Rallycross brand coming out after this evening, I will eat my hat. It's been ridiculous the amount of times we've seen them travelling across the green stuff so far. I think that might have been Callum Cook, who's electing to do some interesting back marker things by getting, rather than just moving out of the way, getting off the track entirely, which is absolutely fine. He's out of the way of the racing, but certainly not going to do him any favours when he comes back on. A little bit slippy and slidey as he comes back on. So there's even more dust being kicked up there. Is that one of the wild things? McLaren's just in front of them, getting a little bit out of shape as well. It's just, well, it's one way of getting out of the way, I suppose, if you can have to do it.
Yeah, that could be Evan Defas, because Denise Pope is actually at the top part of the circuit at the moment, I think, if memory serves me correctly. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted someone to provide a fantastic show in rallying at the the Rally di Monza, the first person you'd stick in a Ferrari and hope him to hoon it round would be Valentino Rossi, of course. I mean, he drives or rides anything these days. He's driven Formula One. He's a 9-time motorcycle world champion. He does the Monza Rally every single year whenever he gets the opportunity. So yeah, I could see that if Ferrari wanted a spokesperson for Ferrari's new rallying initiative, you'd definitely put Valentino Rossi in there.
Well, absolutely, yeah. You'd probably put one of either Dave Hedges, Stephen Haley, or Ranjiv Kelsey just behind. Who's that has gone off there?
Now, that was now I'm not too sure. I'm just having a look. I'm wondering because I'm waiting to see if there. That could be. That is Zentalis and Aaron Martin Pilkington. They've come to blows. They've come to blows with about 7 3/4 minutes to go. Oh, the damage magnet curse strikes again. Oh, we both said it tonight, so we're both at fault. Sorry, Aaron. As Aaron Martin Pilkington, he's kept ahead of Tom Smith at the moment. But Lucas Zentalis is the one that's ended up worse off, as now Kieran Vidago sniffs a little bit of Japanese blood in the Italian water here at Monza, because he's closing on Carola Sipavicius. And this is for P7 going through the exit of Acqua Minerale. 7 minutes and 10 seconds still to go. And as they say, it ain't over until it's over. It's not over until the checkered flag flies as Carola Sipavicius says, Martin Pilkington hard into the barriers off of Tolza. I'm wondering if there was a little bit of a turnaround courtesy of Tom Smith in the XL 777 Ferrari.
I caught a little bit of that in the picture-in-picture. Hopefully we'll see a replay. It just looked as though Aaron was going around the outside. Tom Smith obviously shut the door, as you can understand. He's got every right to do so there, but it looked as though Aaron just got a little bit out of shape as he touched a bit of the grass. And as he came back across, just caught Tom completely unaware, nothing he could do about it, and as you saw there, just punted him, unfortunately, straight into the wall. And now that it was looking worse for wear in the first place, that McLaren. Now it's going to be looking even worse.
Yeah, I think the front end needs a complete overhaul and possibly a reshell with those carbon fibre panels that have been quite literally harpooned into that wall, let's say. But now we concentrate back on with Kieran Vidago and Carolis Sipavicius. They're not too far behind the current points leader, who's done a fantastic job this race. Simon Crane starting from 17th just about 54 minutes ago, and he's now currently in 6th position, 11.2 seconds behind Ross McGregor. Chris on chat says, thinks the airbags went off. You realise that let's go back to this. Thanks to Mike Yao for this replay. So you can now see that he goes around the outside of Tom Smith, does Aaron Martin Pilkington.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the thing is that Aaron was alongside Tom going around the outside. If he was less than half a car length around the outside, okay, yeah, the conventional way is going up the inside. But you look at it from that way, that Aaron Martin Pilkington actually had a good run and could have chanced that and really powered around the outside of Tom Smith. But oh, look how it's tracked completely to what is it effectively around about 10:30 if it was on a clock to 5:30 rather than the normal 3 to 9 and 3. So yeah, that car I think is going to be parked as again that looks to be Callum Cook that's actually off the track again. We're into just under the last 5 minutes of this race, and it has been a pretty much a straightforward run for the top three at this particular moment in time, because there are drivers that are still circulating. There are still drivers still battling away here at Imola for this is going to be the conclusion of the halfway point of season 5 GT3 here live with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and also David Russell, your commentators for this evening. Carola Sipavicius looking
very close to Simon Crane now.
Yep, he's looking rather deadly now. So Simon Crane is feeling a bit of heat under the collar, and as they say, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, or in this case, the cockpit of the Bentley Continental GT3. But we know that Simon Crane is very well accomplished in sim racing, and you can just see how much precision there is from the pair of them. Neither of them giving an inch, neither of them taking the mile, and it's just waiting for that opportunity. Up close goes Carola Sipavicius. We're on the front splitter cam of this Nissan GT-R Nismo GT3 of the 101, and they now go into Variante Alta. And oh, good to hear from Bliv AK, our resident Godzilla expert. Godzilla, he says. Yep, that's how the Japanese would say it, and that's exactly what he's put in the chat. So thank you, Bliv. Good to hear from you, buddy. Hopefully we see you back with us soon at some point. Mr. 747 Nissan on the circuits here in GT3. But great on board. A big thank you once again, as always, to our broadcast director, Mike Yao, doing his camera work magic as always. So across the line they go. And it's getting rather close at the moment, because I know that Charlie Crossland will be heading through Piratella roundabout now and then heading into Acqua Minerale. So he's not too far away. I think we're possibly, David, if memory serves me correctly, we're on the 34th and penultimate lap of this race.
Yeah, not too far to go, and this is a battle that's certainly trying to hot up. You've got Simon Crane very closely followed, as we can see, by one of the few fairly unscathed front splitters in the form of Carolis Ipavicius. Kieran Vidago also under a lot of pressure from Rich Smith as well. So there's two battles here that don't look to be over just yet. There's still plenty of chances at the sharper end of the grid for things to change. Indeed
there is, and good to see that the bromance chat from Simsport Racing is in the house, courtesy of the likes of Aaron Walker and also Liv. AK, thank you very much, mate. We want to see you back for the next season, whenever that gets announced, my friend. He's the one that if Ranjit Kalsi is the Ferrari works driver, then Bliv AK is the Nissan works driver, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to Simsport Racing. So we are coming into the last 90 or so minutes of this race. It has been an absolutely dominant display for the number 66 of Charlie Crossland. 6.2 seconds ahead of Michael O'Brien, Regan Mitchell, Dean Riley, Ross McGregor, Simon Crane and Carolis Ipavicius, with the latter two on our screens, ahead of Kieran Vidago and Rich Smith, rounding out the top 9, with Chris Pinchbeck still in 10th position. And Pinchbeck started P8, but it looks like, oh my god, Rich Smith getting an absolutely brilliant run on Kieran Vidago, heading down into Tamburello. The Mercedes looking to go late on the brakes. Up the inside goes Rich Smith. He's going to take enough curb, but is that going to give him a loss of momentum going through the exit of Tamburello? He still stays ahead of Kieran Vidago, but Vidago is absolutely by his side heading into Villeneuve, and Rich Smith makes the overtake complete. Neatly done. Both gave each other great racing respect, great racing room, and that just shows the sign of true competitiveness and true sportsmanship here at Simsport Racing. Yeah, brilliant work from both of those guys there. As you see, is that Callum Cook again doing his interesting decision to move out of the way of the guys in a couple of laps ahead. But yeah, brilliant racing from those two. As I believe we see in the picture-in-picture, Charlie Crossland, is that coming across the line? Yep, that's going to be for the final lap. So Yep, so we're now on to the final lap of the race. Charlie Crossland heads his way into Tamburello for the final time, the 36th and final time of this race in the picture-in-picture. Now making his way down to Villeneuve, and just out of the picture I just saw a glimpse of Michael O'Brien, who's done a fantastic job. He's raced with us in the GT4 season, which had more than its fair share of surprises at Misano, as Chris Pinchbeck gets the drive through as the clock strikes 0 here at Imola for round 3, season 5 of GT3. Charlie Crossland making his way down Piratella and now into the double right at Acqua Minerale. The 66, he's got pole position, he's got fastest lap of the race, and now he's about to get the three-peats here in Italy, in the Emilia-Romagna region. And you can now see that Simon Crane, as Chris Pinchbeck has served his drive-through penalty, Charlie Crossland absolutely has dominated proceedings. We now head to the race leader. He's got 2 more corners to go, and after a long time coming, Charlie Crossland is going to take a fantastic victory. He's been on the podium multiple times before here at Simsport Racing. He starts wiggling the Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo from side to side, starts flashing the headlights, and Charlie Crossland, as the rain erupts as he crosses the line. How's that for timing perfection? Charlie Crossland wins here at Imola. Michael O'Brien takes a maiden Simsport Racing podium in second position, with it being closed up by another McLaren of Regan Mitchell. A great debut from Simsport Solutions, Dean Riley. Well, actually, with those colour scheme as well, to come across the line in fourth. Ross McGregor will very shortly be coming across the line, having started down in fifth position to finish, started in 13th position to finish in fifth place, as now it's going to go a run to the line. They're going to be rather tippy-toey coming out. The wipers starting to go on the cars. They're all on slicks. And now Simon Crane will outdrag Carolis Supervicious to the checkered flag here at Imola, and he takes it by just over a tenth and a half. And just behind, Rich Smith and Kieran Vidago take 8th and 9th respectively. Miles Dixon takes 10th. Bobby Lightus takes 11th. Steve Haley takes 12th. Will take 12th. Dave Hedges finishes behind Ivaras Mikas in 22nd and 21st respectively, as Colin Turkington will cross the line in a very, very battered and bruised Mercedes, but will take 30th at the flag. So, oh my goodness me, the heavens opening as the fireworks gets set off into the virtual background, and the red flares from the virtual tifosi here at Imola definitely showcases the amount of passionate individuals here. But my goodness me, David, we had everything in that race, and the rain came down as Charlie Crossland came across the checkered flag after 36 laps. Who would have thought that?
Oh, dare I say, biblical scenes as he crossed the line there. That was incredible stuff. It would have been interesting to see if it had come a little bit earlier. Maybe that would have shook up the things at the front. You see the guys tiptoeing around, but what a race that was. Action from front to back. A couple of incidents. I'm sure they'll be investigated, of course, as you'll all know by now. Any results that are published are still subject to review, as we know. But what a race. Action, front to back. Brilliant stuff. And fantastic drive from Charlie Crossland. Dominated proceedings. Very, very comfortable indeed, and deserves his race win.
Well, David, I'll be back with you in just a moment. I'm going to head down to the interview booth to speak to some drivers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're down in the interview booth here at Imola after what has been an absolutely fantastic third round of GT3 Season 5. Looks like we've got our first driver coming in, and I think let's welcome in our second place finisher in the number 77 McLaren. Let's bring in Michael O'Brien. Well, Michael, about time. Good to, well, I think he's dropped in and out. Michael, good evening. I don't know what's happening here. We'll see if we can get Michael in just a second, but Michael started alongside Charlie Crossland. Michael, good evening. Fantastic race. Congratulations on your maiden Simsport Racing podium, and it ended up being in GT3.
Yeah, thank you, guys. That was obviously a really enjoyable race from my point of view, sort of quite lonely after the start. And to be honest, I was hoping after quali that the pace would sort of be a bit more similar between me and Charlie. Obviously, he did a mega job in quali and in the race, but that 3/10 gap, I sort of thought, oh, I hope that comes down for the race and it can be a bit closer. And I think it sort of was. It was a bit messy at the start from me, like the opening 20 minutes, and then we sort of held station. But yeah, really pleased to get on the podium in my first GT3 Simsport race.
And obviously you've been running with us in GT4, obviously. You know, being a McLaren driver, obviously with your pedigree in GT3, in British GT anyhow, it's quite good to see how the translation from the real life actually helps with regards to the sim racing, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think actually one of the big things I was actually thinking about during the race was the traffic management. I always seem to be quite good, just a fraction better than the others around me in doing that. And obviously with the real life experience, I think that's sort of paid dividends there. So yeah, good race and really enjoyable as well.
Just one final question really, Michael. The start that everyone got going into Tamburello for the first time, we saw that you were closing in on Charlie, but then you decided to sort of be very, very, I think, optimistic in terms of looking at, well, if I go for the lunge here, it could either work out really well for us both, or we both could end up in the barriers. And that really paid dividends to sort of like, you said that the first 20 minutes was a bit messy, but the start's always crucial. And even though you got to within a tenth and a half at one point on Charlie in qualifying, to still be there or thereabouts, quite up close, going through Tamburello the first time. Did you think that if he hadn't got away like he did, that you could have used McLaren's strengths to try and sort of counter against him?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, ultimately, he obviously did a great job to build up those 6 seconds, so woulda, coulda, shoulda. But I like to think once the race stabilised, our pace was very, very similar. And you never know, maybe if I was right behind him, I could have pressurised him into a mistake. But hats off to him. I mean, he drove really well and, controlled the race. So all credit to him.
Well, congratulations, Michael. Thank you very much for the interview, and we'll see you very soon once again here on Simsport Racing.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Michael there. We'll now bring in our third place finisher first of all. We'll bring in Regan Mitchell in the number 69. Well, Regan, firstly, congratulations on getting a podium. Third place in the number 69 McLaren. The start was rather explosive from row 2 downwards, wasn't it?
Yeah, very scary. Well, my race would have been over at one point, but luckily, very stable McLaren, can take anything.
And obviously we had the likes of Aaron Martin, Pilkington and a few others not too far behind. Adam Isilovic has got himself into P7 before he had a very early off-track excursion. Who were you thinking were going to be your, because we saw like Yannick Muller, he was rather rapid. The Ferraris were looking strong around here, but then it seemed to go wrong for them, didn't it?
Yeah, I was expecting Dean Riley and Rich Smith of the Mercedes to be further up, faster than me, to be honest. So I'm just happy to be where I was, third.
Well, Regan, I know that obviously there's a bit of hard work ahead of the next round of GT4 on Wednesday night. I'm sure that you're going to be putting some more time in behind the wheel before then, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Regan, congratulations on third place tonight, and we'll see you at GT4 on Wednesday evening.
Thank you.
Okay, big thank you to Regan there. Finally, let's bring in our race winner, the number 66 of Charlie Crossland. Well, Charlie Crossland, congratulations. You got the clean sweep tonight, buddy. Pole position, fastest lap, and you won the race by around about 6 seconds on merit. Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So the Mercedes was rather strong around here, but I think just by seeing how quickly you and Michael got away at the front of the field, was it a case of just trying to pull away from him as well, because it all started kicking off behind?
So I was just making sure that I could keep that 6-7 second gap, but and get clean through traffic and not get any collision or go off.
And the Mercedes seems rather suited to Imola. Is it a track that you enjoy driving, or is it something that can be at times a bit of a challenge, especially going through like Acqua Minerale, for example?
I don't know where Acqua Minerale is, but it's pretty OP here, Merc. I just had to reset up and go.
Well, Charlie, congratulations on your victory here tonight at Imola in GT3. Well done, congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, David, really good to hear from our top three: Charlie Crossland, our race victor here at Imola, Michael O'Brien in second, and Regan Mitchell, who said yes, it was rather Regan's comment, I think, was rather pertinent. He said, yeah, it was rather scary going into Tamburello for the first time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't say I blame him. I think we saw it in the GT4s a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? If you see one of those guys in the midfield, as you kind of get that almost accordion effect as they all bunch together. If someone has a bit of a moment there, then you're almost a passenger. And yeah, it was close. Obviously, had that incident with Aaron Martin Pilkington as well, and as he quite aptly put, it's a strong old thing that McLaren obviously managed to hold off from Aaron's advances quite nicely. And yeah, they all seem very pleased with the results, and I'm sure that'll do them no disservice in the championship as well.
Yes, very, very true. And that concludes the first half of the season. I can't believe that. Here on Simsport Racing of GT3 Season 5 here at Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari. Join us in 2 weeks at Circuit Zandvoort. This time it will be a 90-minute race at just off of the North Sea coast. But here on Simsport Racing, we will be back in action, and it will be for the penultimate round of GT4 Season 4. Round 5 will take place at the famed Paul Ricard circuit in Le Castellet, not too far off of Marseille. So join myself and Tim Fulbrook that particular evening, this coming Wednesday night. David, thank you once again for joining us in the commentary box here at Simsport Racing. I know you're going to need to lay down in a dark room and probably have some headache tablets after that absolute barnstormer of a race.
Yeah, lights are going off, lay down in bed and just think it all through. But no, that was brilliant fun. Great fun to call that one. And yeah, I mean, can't wait for the next one. Brilliant work tonight from the guys, and I'm sure it'll be even better next week, in a couple of weeks as well.
Indeed. A big thank you to Mike Yeo, our broadcast director, for his exemplary camera work as always. A big thank you to everyone watching on all the relevant streams. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you on Wednesday night this coming week as we head to the penultimate round of Season 4 GT4 at Paul Ricard. Until then, my name's Alex Goldschmidt, and on behalf of myself and David Ressel, thank you for watching, good night, and stay safe.